So last night on my way home from a church service, I had stopped and I got some food, and I was going through the drive-thru, and waiting in my car on my way to the window to get my food and to pay, I was listening to some worship music, and I was just crying, just letting some stuff out. And when I got up to pay for my food, my interaction with the person at the drive-through window, it was hard to understand what he was saying because he was wearing the face mask, right? But he and I had made eye contact, and I thought to myself, oh man, I wonder if he can tell that I was crying. So then he takes my money, he hands me my food, and as he hands me my food, to this very moment, I don't know exactly what he said because it was hard to understand his words, because with somebody having the face mask, we lose the ability to read the lips while actually hearing what somebody is saying. So communication is hindered. So he said something along the lines of, I hope you have a good night, or it was sincere, and I felt like he did see that I was crying and that he was making a connection to acknowledge me. But it happened so fast, I got my food, there was a long line behind me, so I made sure to move quickly. But I had caught something in my spirit that was so relevant to everything that's happening right now with COVID-19. And I just started weeping. So this whole social distancing, that's the term, right? And I've heard in other scenarios it should have been called physical distancing, because we should never socially distance ourselves from one another, because God wired us to be social creatures. We need interaction with one another. We need physical touch from one another. But my point is, in addition to, socially distancing, having to physically distance ourselves, we have these masks, okay? So now we are actually cutting off the opportunity to identify somebody's face, a familiar face. That too does something to our hearts. That does something to our emotional state. When we see a familiar face, that has been cut off in this season by the mandatory requirements to wear a face mask. When we are interacting with each other, it is that much more difficult or harder to understand what somebody is saying, because again, you cannot read my lips as you are hearing me. So let's say there's something going on auditorily, you can't hear me, you would have the visuals of seeing my lips move, and you would be able to make out what I'm saying. So that has been cut off as well. So what I got out of all of that was corrupt communication. There is a demon, there is a principality, there is a power right now over all of this, and it is called corrupt communication, not only with one another, but with the Father. That is a part of the agenda in this COVID-19, and it's going to continue to be pressed. So that means that as believers, as people who are wanting to push the agenda of the kingdom, we need to be aware that is a part of the attack, and then we need to do a heart check, right? Because we're being affected by this. The Bible says that the rain falls on the just and the unjust. And what that did for me is it really showed me how starved I am for human connection, for a human touch, for just being acknowledged. Starved my internal struggle. I wanted somebody to acknowledge that I was going through something. And then in that, not only was it acknowledged, but there was our communication was corrupted because of the face mask situation. So I just wanted to release that. Hopefully that empowers you today to know the wiles of the enemy. I mean, God says that my people perish because of lack of knowledge. So if we understand the enemy's tactics, we are that much more ahead of the curve. And then we can start praying and interceding and saying, you know what? No, I'm not going to receive that. So I pray that you're blessed and empowered to go throughout your day and spread this awareness, and spread this word, and spread this type of fire, that though these weapons are formed against us, they shall not prosper.